My name is Shirley Bourne. I'm 70 years old and I grew up in Sioux County, Iowa, a very conservative county. My parents raised 10 of us kids and we were a farm family.
Hi, I'm Adrian Bourne, married to Shirley Bourne. We've been married over 50 years and I was born in Holland. Came across when I was a year and a half old, lived in the city of Hall until I went to the service, and then I got married, and now we have lived in Sioux Center for over 50 years. I am not a heavy media person. I do enjoy watching TV. Like football games, history channels, that sort of thing, and I do read the newspaper.
Well, I guess I probably use media probably a little more than he does. I came from a banking career, and so we had a lot of computers there and email communication, and I like to use Facebook. I like to stay in touch with my kids and grandkids. So I'm a little more up to date, I think, with technology that way. I'm not a huge TV watcher. There's a few programs I like to watch. I'm a big HGTV about the home and house program, but other than that, I'm not a big TV watcher. One of the things I remember was when my folks first got a stereo, a record player. That was a big deal because we could listen to records, and mainly it was Christian music and gospel music. That's what we got to listen to. And then later the radio came out and we would have one in our cars, or we would have a small transistor radio. We didn't always have the best reception, but we could listen to the radio.
Music-wise, when I was growing up, I was more on the wild side, if that's the right word, and I was more of a rock and roller kind of person.
One of the things that's really different today is that we have email and we can have instant communication.
As far as TVs goes, we got married 50 years ago, and our first TV in our house was black and white, and it was it wasn't a big screen TV like they have today, but it was quite a deal. As our kids were growing up, I think they had more of cowboy Indian type things like Gunsmoke and Wyatt Earp and stuff like that, and I think in my thinking it was less violent than TV is more today, but we let the kids watch Sesame Street and things like that, educational programs. So I think it has changed a lot over the years. I think it's getting more liberal.
We weren't really allowed to go to movies when we were children. Our church didn't believe that they were the correct thing to do. So after we were dating, we would go to movies occasionally. They were expensive, and so we didn't use our money to go to movies a lot. I think we spent more time going to the parks and doing physical activities when we were younger with our kids, and movies weren't a big thing in those days. Now that we have a big screen TV, I would say we watch more movies on TV if they're appropriate. One of the things that's important to us as a Christian, I think, is to be discerning and to be intentional about what media we use and what media we watch, because I think God requires us to be always respectful of Him and what He would approve of. So I think we have to be very cautious sometimes in what media we watch and what we listen to, because if it's not something that you would want God to hear, then I don't think we should be listening to it or watching it either. As we think about media today and how liberal it is, instead of being conservative the way it was when we started using media 50 some years ago, We have to be a little more mindful, I think, of what we hear and what we see. And it also concerns me for my children and my grandchildren that in the future there won't be any censorship as far as what is being said and what's being heard. And so I think we have to be a little more cautious about that.
Through interviewing Dutch and Shirley, I feel like I have learned a lot about how media has changed over the last 60 plus years. Looking at it through their perspective and hearing about how media has changed really helps me get a new understanding about media in the past and media today. Media has changed drastically, but these changes are not only technological. Views and perspectives on media have changed as well. Media today has become a lot less conservative, and as a Christian, I think it is important to be intentional about the media that we consume and how we let it affect us. But I also think media has had a positive influence on us, not only letting us communicate better, but also helping us to be more informed. I do not think that is something that we could live without today as a society.